In the heart of the Syrian chaos, and from the womb of the world's most extremist organizations, a man rose who not only changed his surname, but also decided to change the course of history in his country, from Abu Mohammad Al-Jolani, wanted internationally, and whose head carried a $10 million US bounty, to Ahmad Al-Sharaa, who today sits at the helm of power. Is this a miracle of political transformation? Or is it the greatest cosmetic surgery for an ideology that has not changed in its essence? This wasn't a random coup. It was a masterclass in pragmatism, backed by regional superpowers and a transformation so calculated it left even the CIA stunned. Today, we delve into the pragmatic mind of Ahmad Al-Sharaa, between the legacy of extremism and the demands of statehood. Long before he was Al-Jolani, he was Ahmad Al-Sharaa, born in the Golan Heights but raised in the middle-class neighborhoods of Damascus. His father was an economist. His life was ordinary. But the 2003 U.S. invasion of Iraq changed everything. Like thousands of young Arab men, Sharaa was radicalized by the images coming out of Baghdad. He didn't just watch, he went. In Iraq, he didn't just join the insurgency, he climbed the ranks of Al-Qaeda in Iraq. He became a protege of Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, the most feared man in the region. He was eventually, in 2006, captured by the Americans and sent to Camp Bucca. Camp Bucca is often called the University of Jihad. It was here, behind barbed wire, that Sharaa met the men who would later form ISIS and the future leadership of the Syrian revolution. When he was released, he wasn't just a fighter, he was a strategist. But why was he released? Years later, former U.S. Ambassador Robert Ford made a startling revelation. Ford noted that during his time, the U.S. and Iraqi authorities were reviewing thousands of detainees. Sharaa, using the pseudonym Amjad Mudaffar, managed to convince his captors he was a low-level threat. He was released in March 2011. Just as the Syrian revolution began. 2011. The Arab Spring hits Syria. As the country slides into civil war, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, then leader of the Islamic State of Iraq, sees an opportunity. He sends his most capable lieutenant back to his homeland to start a cell. That man was Ahmad Al-Sharaa. He crossed the border with a group of men and a small amount of cash. His mission, create Jabhat al-Nusra. Al-Nusra was different. While others were disorganized, Sharaa's group was disciplined, elite, and terrifyingly effective. But they had a secret. They were the official branch of Al-Qaeda in Syria. For years, Sharaa kept his face hidden, earning him the nickname the Ghost. 2013 brought a turning point. Baghdadi tried to forcibly merge al-Nusra into ISIS. Most expected Sharaa to obey his boss. Instead, he did the unthinkable. He defied Baghdadi. He publicly renewed his oath to al-Qaeda's central leader, Ayman al-Zawahiri. But the seed of independence was sown. He realized that to survive in Syria, he couldn't just be a global terrorist. He had to be a Syrian player. In 2015, his forces took Idlib city. This wasn't just another conquest. It was the moment Sharaa realized that holding territory required more than suicide bombers. It required a government. Then began the great pivot. First, he announced al-Nusra was breaking ties with al-Qaeda. He changed the group's name to Jabhat Fatah al-Sham, then eventually Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS. After breaking with al-Qaeda and ISIS, Sharaa retreated to Idlib. While the world saw a terrorist enclave, Sharaa was building a state-in-waiting. He became a student of governance. He established a tax system, paved roads, and, most importantly, started a charm offensive with the West. He began protecting Christian minorities and cracking down on the very ISIS cells he once helped build. He began a brutal campaign to consolidate power in Idlib. He crushed rival extremist groups and even arrested former al-Qaeda allies. He was clearing the stage for a new act. He traded the black flag for a new green and white one. He traded the mask for a shaved beard and a suit. He established the Salvation Government, Suddenly, the man who once fought for a global caliphate was talking about Syrian national interests. He was no longer hiding his face because he realized his face was his greatest political asset. He was telling the world, "I am the only one who can provide stability." November 2024. The world was looking at Gaza and Ukraine. But in northwest Syria, a storm was brewing. This was Operation Rada Al-Adwan, deterrence of aggression. This wasn't a rebel ragtag operation. It was a professional military blitz. And the engineer behind the curtain? Turkey. Turkey provided the diplomatic shield and the tactical blueprint. Through the Astana process, Ankara performed a geopolitical miracle. They convinced Russia to stay neutral. With Moscow distracted by Ukraine, Turkey argued that the Assad regime was no longer a viable partner. Simultaneously, they pressured Iran to pull back its militias, effectively isolating Bashar al-Assad. Shara's forces moved with terrifying speed. In 1 week, cities that had resisted for 13 years fell in hours. Was Washington caught off guard? Not exactly. Reports suggest that the U.S. was well aware of Shara's preparations. Behind the scenes, the narrative had shifted. The U.S. realized that Shara, despite his past, had effectively de-radicalized his organization to a nationalist level.
And people said he's had a rough past. We've all had rough pasts. But he has had a rough past, and I think, frankly, if you didn't have a rough past, you wouldn't have a chance.
As long as he promised to fight ISIS and keep the border secure, the West was willing to let the ghost become the president. Is Ahmad Al-Sharaa hiding his real face? Physically, no. His face is on every news screen. But ideologically, that is the billion-dollar question. He is the man who outplayed Al-Qaeda, outlasted ISIS, and outmaneuvered the Assad dynasty. He proved that in the Middle East, the most dangerous weapon isn't a suicide vest. It's a seat at the table and a willing sponsor. Ahmad Al-Sharaa has completed his transformation. The jihadist is dead. The president is born. But for the people of Syria, the true test of his pragmatism has only just begun.